video, we're going to be taking property to sale right now all around the country that are between 20 and 150 acres. And we're going to be picking them apart and making plans, and I'm going to show you what I would do to take a property that looks like that and turn it in to that. And we'll go through what everything means, and we'll go through why I would do what I would do, why I do some things here, some things in other places. These are all the topics and all the things I'm going to talk about, the strategies and all that stuff, is things that I've seen work on a property that I manage in Pennsylvania, which is about 100 total acres on one side of the road, but mostly about 65 acres of timber. And I'm going to give you different insights and thinkings of why I do things, and then also things that I see, read about online, and see that I'd really like to do that. Unfortunately, because of circumstances on the property, I'm not able to rent the farmland that's rented out to somebody else, and I'm not able to control that, which I would love to do, but you know, it is what it is. I'm just blessed and thankful that I'm able to hunt where I am, and yeah, so we'll get into it here. Like I said, we're going to take this property, 55 acres in Indiana, and we're going to take that, and I'm going to explain to you how I made that and the decisions that went into that and what everything means. So let's flip this around. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this property, and I'm going to go through and just right off the bat of things that I excuse me, let's flip this around. Things that I saw, and that's still correct like that. Yeah. Alright, the things that I saw and why I made the decisions that I made. Can you see this? Yeah, it pops up pretty good. First thing I saw was obviously this large amount of area in here. Right in here. That was pretty much tillable. And I saw that area in there, and I thought, you know, that's going to be great for food plots and using switchgrass and other stuff. Switchgrass, any warm season grasses in this part of Indiana. You could maybe get away with blue stem a little, and Indian grass, but I would still recommend using switchgrass for your entries and exits compared to the others that we have. So first off, I said, okay, we're going to put these deer feed down below. This is where food plots are going to be, and then we're going to use the rest of this property up through here as cover. There was a trail system that it showed that goes back to this food plot, or what was, I'm assuming, was a food plot before, and we did some changes and what I would recommend doing to this little piece back there. So we'll go through that then. Main things I see as far as topographic features, I see a big bench system right here, right here, and I see, this is a hillside. So hillside, 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 and that creates these funnels. There's a funnel you can see that goes along through there, and a funnel that goes along through there. So you're going to have pinch points to hunt. You're going to have good bedding, abilities to have bedding cover in the back here. And you're going to have good access to get into these spots, especially using this little line of timber here to get into your food plots. And having that access, having that hidden, is even going to help your food plot, and even going to help you more having this whole thing, other than right here, hidden. The deer are going to feel a lot more safe entering and exiting the property. So, in a wide view, this is this whole property where this sits in the area. It's a lot of ag, and hilltops are timber, and anything that they could make tillable, like a lot of parts of the country in the Midwest, is they could plow it, they plant it. So very similar here. But anyway, let's get into the actual design that I came up with for this property. So first we'll go through the colors. Orange is your switchgrass, your warm seasonal, warm season grasses is orange. This yellow right here, that is grain, whether it's corn, whether it's soybeans, whether it's sorghum. We'll talk about that later. The green is green food plots, brassicas, peas, rye, oats. We're going to talk about the different varieties that I would use and such. This yellow lining in here, this is switchgrass pockets. Jeff Sturges talks a lot about these switchgrass pockets and creating bedding and creating cover using switchgrass and having little pockets. We'll get into that. And then the red, the maroon or magenta here is cuttings that I would make to have deer bedding in these areas. And we'll get into why and how we're going to do those and stuff. And then the brown is major deer trails going through the property, and having these trails should help the deer. You're going to have water holes, mock scrapes, Jeff Sturges again. You're going to hear that name a bunch because I agree with a lot of the stuff that he teaches on his channel. But you're going to see, excuse me, you're going to see that come up a lot here. And then the white is your access. And then obviously the numbers are different stands. Blue right here, that was a pond. So I just wanted you to be able to see that that was a pond and that was water. So now we'll get into the design of these food plots here. First off, if we go back to the other map for just 1 second, one thing that really stood out to me was these three little areas right here. And to me, getting these in little staging plots, kill plots, before they go out to their main green food source at night. I saw this and I started, I was like, wow, that could really be really special. So going over to here, I have a plot here and a plot here, and then your access would be through switchgrass in the orange to get back to here to hunt either one of these plots, pinch it down. It's a pinch point for the food as they head out to their other main food sources. Their third feeding of the day that they're going to hit is coming out of their beds. They're going to hit these and they're going to go to there, and I think that really gives you opportunity. These little plots, especially mature buck, they're going to feel more comfortable going out here than even going out into a bigger, half acre, 3/4, or 1 acre food plot that we have. But I saw those and my mouth started drooling, and I knew that this could be a real cool opportunity to have uh, a dynamite spot here. And that's part of the reason. Part of the reason that right in here, this little area in here, is switchgrass and not grain, is because I want your access. I want you to be able to slip in and out of here without deer detecting that you were ever there. If you had corn or soybeans or sorghum in here, well, the deer would know, would hear you, see you, smell you coming out of there, and that's not what we want. So I left a nice block of switchgrass in there to uh, allow your access in and out of that stand. Another thing you could do on either side, maybe on over here you both have, maybe there's already maybe there's already scrapes, or cut away some of those scraped trees that they would use on other parts of the plots. Cut them down and leave overhanging branches within bow range of that stand. I think that could be a dynamite stand, especially with basically a due west wind. That could be absolute money on this property. Excuse me. So we'll start up here at the top with after I ranted about that, we'll start up here with the first plot, and again, it's a green plot. You want something that's going to be green all throughout the season. You want them. You don't want your plots maturing at different times. You want them to be able to come out and eat, have a green food source the entire part of the season. Big thing Jeff Sturgis talks about. A bunch of other guys talk about it too. Having your greens, it's so important to have good green food sources, and make sure you treat your food sources just like you would treat your bedding areas. A lot of people make the mistake, and I've personally made the mistake of overhunting food plots, and the deer just become sporadic. They will hit these every day if they're planted correctly and they're accessed correctly, and that's why we have this switchgrass lining this food plot here and allowing you to get into a blind, most likely here, and then into a tree stand, most likely here, over a pond that's already there. Why I have this little thing of switchgrass right here is because we want to bottleneck them down, so any deer coming through here presents an archery shot in that area, comes out of that top part of the food plot, comes down, because most likely if they're coming from this bedding area or this bedding area coming down the water, you're going to be able to get a shot if you're in number 2. But if they come out here and stand number 2, if they come out here, hopefully you're able to then get a shot as they come out into that food plot. Definitely afternoon stand. Obviously you're slipping in to the property, short walk, getting in there, getting out undetected, very important there for number 1. Then we hop into stand number 2, which is right here. There's a pond, as we already talked about. This could be, I would say, morning, sometimes, definitely afternoon spot. You can sneak in, sneak out. But in the morning, especially during the rut, definitely buck scent checking these doe bedding areas, walking these trails, would easily come down here for a drink in the morning. And again, with a less wind, that allows you to get back into in and out of there in the morning. Probably even a post daybreak stand. Let those deer get back into the bedding area. Come in at 7 o'clock when they're back in there, when there's nothing nothing in your food plots anymore. Walk in there, get up the tree, hunt that in the morning. I think, especially during the rut, that's great for a morning stand. And in the afternoon, all season long in the afternoon, deer coming out, they've eaten a lot of woody browse all day long. They want that water. They want that green food source. They're going to come down and hit that water hole. So there's stand number 2. And then we hop to stand 3 and 4. And we're going to go through why I love having grain. But a lot of times on these small properties, when you have grain, especially in the form of soybeans, you can easily have too many doe on your property all summer long, and you don't want that. You don't want these deer here. You want this to be a fall usage property only, especially in this part of the country where there's a bunch of ag surrounding this area. You want these deer really using this property in the fall and during hunting season. That's when you want to use it. You don't need deer here all the time. Obviously, you're gonna have deer here at times in the summer. It's just inevitable, but you want to limit that. So if you're going to plant soybeans here, make sure you fence them. Make sure we have fencing so that the deer aren't trying to eat these down to the ground, aren't using that as a main food source. Have this fenced. If you're using corn or sorghum, you might have to fence it. You might not have to. It's going to depend on how many deer numbers you have. But stand 3 would only apply if you have corn and sorghum, because you don't want to have this. If you have this in beans, you don't want to be tromping through there. I would recommend mostly corn and sorghum for this. Small properties, mostly corn, and then you can rotate with sorghum so that you don't have to plant corn and corn and corn and corn. You want to have some sort of rotation, so your rotation could be sorghum. Deer will not touch sorghum in the summer, so you don't have to worry about fencing sorghum. You might have to worry about fencing. And if you want to plant beans, I probably wouldn't recommend it here, but if you want to, we all have seen the outdoor videos of them hunting over beans in late season. If you want to have beans, go ahead, but make sure they're fenced. Make sure deer aren't eating them down on the ground. But 3, like I said, have a cut trail going through the corn. Have your blind covered with corn. We've all seen the Lukowskis, Lee and Tiffany, and a lot of people in the outdoor industry shoot deer out of corn in the blind. So it gives you some structure, some quick structure, as switchgrass could take a little bit longer to grow and a little bit, maybe take a year to really get established. That allows you, the corn, you have structure right away. You have structure around these food plots, which all these green food plots that we have here, you really want to treat like the bedding area. From what I've seen, that's a big mistake that I was making on my own properties. And when you start to have these green food plots and you have them, they're very attractive to the deer, but you got to treat them just like you would your bedding area. You wouldn't trample through your bedding area all the time. So don't do that with your excuse me, sorry. Don't do that with your green food plots either. We hop down. We've already talked about number 5 a little bit. Like I said, this is an area I would have in switchgrass and not continue with the grain, just so you can get in and out of there. Gives you a nice little entry and exit way in and out of that stand. Number 9 is a post daybreak stand for trying to catch those cruising buck on the downwind side of the bedding areas. You've seen this tactic work a lot. Jeff Sturgis talks about it. The hunting public talks about it when they're hunting public lands during the rut. Get below the downwind side of those doe bedding areas. In this case, a doe bedding area here, here, and here. They're going to be running down below that. Food sources right there. They could easily catch them in their post daybreak stand, and that just allows you to get that cover, or get access to the cover without encroaching on it. We hop down here to 6 and 7, and those stands are very similar to 3 and 4. You want to hunt this food plot. You want to have good access in and out. Again, corner switchgrass surrounding this food plot. You almost have 3 separate food plots, and the reason we do that is to keep the doe stress down. When different doe family groups, we use the switchgrass and the corn to hide them from one another as they pour into this food plot. The deer in here can't see the deer in here, which can't see the deer in here, which can't see the deer over here. This allows to hold more deer on your property without creating a lot of stress for those buck, which again, they don't want that doe stress that they have to deal with. That's why they're in the properties that they are. That's why they get to that age. They're away from hunters. They want to be by themselves. They're solitary creatures as they get older and older and older. and you want to keep that doe stress down while hiding the doe family groups from one another. That helps. So that's why I have this food plot lined in switchgrass. Same with this one. So the deer coming out of this bedding area, coming down in here, they can't see the deer that are coming from here into here into here, and they can't see the deer coming from down into this food plot here. They can't see all this. When they go out and we release them onto the neighbors at night, well, that's a big main food source. They're used to seeing other deer. Excuse me. They're used to seeing other deer in situations like that, but we want to keep the stress down. Stress levels down. It's already a stressful time of the year for them. They're being hunted, but we don't want any extra stress on these deer during that time. We come down to stand 8. We have another food plot down here, right on the edge of the property, another green plot. All these green plots, all of these should be planted with the same stuff. There should be no difference. The only thing I would have different is these 2 micro plots or kill plots would most likely just be rye, and not rye grass, rye grain. We only want the rye. We want rye grain. Rye grass, deer won't eat it. It's not good for the. Just not good. Make sure it's rye grain. This allows heavy browse pressure, and it'll just keep growing and growing and growing. So the deer will eat it. Everything else, these plots have to be planted in the same stuff. So there's and this plot too. There's no maturing at different times. They're all in a brassica blend, and then on the other side, something to sweeten them up in the beginning of the season: peas, oats, beans, and half the plot. And then with brassicas, whenever you're planting brassicas, you have to rotate them every 2 years. You don't want to plant brassicas 3 years in a row on one side. You can get fungus in the soil. So all these plots, think of almost like a line on this side. 1 year's brassica, on this side the other. Same thing up here. One side this could be brassica, and then for 2 years, and then it's got to switch. Same thing with all those plots that you plant brassicas in 2 years. Switch them, rotate them, and you can have a nice rotation food plots for a long time. We hop down here then to number 12. 12, 14, 11, 10, and 13. They're all morning stands, sneaking in the back as those deer come back to their beds, sneaking in and trying to get them while they're coming back to their beds, or they're cruising in the rut, or they're just meandering through, coming off the neighbors that gets pushed during gun season. That's what those stands are there for. Stand 13 and 10, they come out of big pinch points. There's a big ridge, and there's 2 funnels down here, and even 15 is too, where it drops off and comes flat. The deer are going to travel most likely the easiest route, so they don't want to go down into a big ditch and then back over. They're going to hopefully use this trail that we have and then cross in front of stand 13. Again, we can enhance that with a mock scrape or a water hole there to make those deer want to use that. Again, number 10, we have a pinch point funnel in here. We have a couple trails coming together. There's going to be a variety of scent, smell, mock scrape there of deer coming in different areas. Same thing. 15, again, this is a gamble spot. I do believe in gamble spots. I think they're high risk, high reward, though, for that rut, the perfect rut time when those deer are really running. You're in the center of the property. You're between a couple different bedding areas. You're on this ridge, beginning of this ridge, so you can blow your wind down here in the morning when your thermals are rising, and you don't have to worry about the deer in the morning smelling you. Then you can get down and get out of here. But yeah, that it's a gamble, but again, trails coming together, downwind sides of these bedding areas. They're going to be in there scent checking, and could really be a killer stand. Now to this, I explained this. This used to be a food plot. I explained in the beginning when I was talking. This used to be a food plot. that they had from what the picture showed on the property listing. I would turn this into, surround it with switchgrass, have different pockets of maybe switchgrass. Jeff Sturgis talks about that a lot. Little pockets of switchgrass in here, and then let some early successional growth. Plant some oak trees. Plant some maple shoots. Plant some willows. That will add structure and give the deer that woody browse that they are always looking for. They're always looking for that in their bedding areas, and then maybe even a little quarter to an eighth of an acre just planted in rye, just for a little bit of excuse me, a little bit of extra food there for them. I would do that. This bedding area, I went back and forth on having this or not. If you want to hunt this stand, I would say don't have this. If you want to leave this just for bedding and a real just money spot for deer movement, then don't have a stand here. But if you'd like, thinking about this again, I might even not cut this and have a point in here to hunt this end there. I probably would do that. Thinking back again now, there's these. This is the thing. These are always changing a little bit. You could look at it one more time and you go, wow, that could be really useful there. But again, I think that could be absolutely money. Something that I don't think any of your neighbors are going to have. If you check out the Management Advantage, they did a Project 17. Very similar, something very similar like that you could use and use back here. So check that out. But I think that could be absolutely money. And then these cutting areas, which are bedding areas, what we go through here and do is I wouldn't know exactly what I'd exactly want to do, whether it be a hinge cutting or different kinds of cuttings, whether it's a clear cut, whether it's a select cut, how you do that until you get on the property and talk to the owners about what their goals are for the management of their timber. But definitely some sort of TSI in here to create thick bedding cover. You want that high stem count, that woody browse, all the things that the deer want. You want a very safe area. It's your heart of your bedding area, it's the core of your property, and you want these deer to feel safe in there. So whether you're going in and cutting 80% of the trees down, but don't cut the whole thing. Have your destination bedding areas in here, and this which allows you then to control more of your access, and then there's not deer bedded just every single place. You know where the deer should be bedding, where they want to bed, and you can avoid those areas, blow your winds out of them. Because just because they can't see you doesn't make it a sanctuary. Sanctuary is places that deer can't hear you, smell you, or see you. So you got to be real cautious of wind direction and how you're entering and exiting the property. That's why we have this outside perimeter in white. That allows that to really set up nice. I think this property could be absolutely dynamite. I think there's a ton of different things that you could do with this place. This is something that I'm really passionate about. As you can tell, I've already rambled on for almost half an hour on just a drawing, but I'm really passionate about this stuff, and obviously you wouldn't know exactly what you'd want to do 100% until you actually have boots on the ground. And I'm not saying by any chance this is the greatest property design that's ever been made for this property. This is just what I would do as somebody looking at this online. I saw this on Whitetail Properties, and I said, holy heck, this is a really cool piece, and I think that I could turn this into a dynamite 55 acres. I know that, everybody that you see a lot on television talks about having, giant acreage, and you don't. There's a property right near my house that holds 40, 50 deer. It's only 15 acres. The property that we hunt, that we hold and get deer in the next age class, like I said, it's only 60 acres of cover. So this allows you, if you do this right, because looking at the images, there's not many other people managing properties in this area. You can really become that quote unquote herd influencer, the people that get this deer in the next age class, and it presents you a great opportunity, great areas to hunt, tons of stands for different wind directions, so you're never sitting in the same stand, you're never doing things that the deer can pattern you, because as much as you're hunting the deer are also learning from you every time. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. That was a short explanation. Like I said, I've never put boots on the ground at this spot. There could definitely be things I would change if I saw things on the property. I don't know, maybe there's a killer oak tree somewhere in here that needs a stand around or something like that, or there's a giant pinch point, somewhere in here that, oh, you need to have a stand. I wouldn't know that till you get to the property, but just from the outside looking in, I think this could be a really cool property. I hope you guys enjoy this, and that's just a little bit of small property management. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.
Yeah.